Hey guys, my name is Veio and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. So today we are testing out our little ship, that was a complicated sentence, that we built in the last episode. So we're going to go and see if it is any good. So we're going to do this by going to Minmus, because we haven't actually been to Minmus yet, so I thought that would be a good place to test it. So we shall be adventuring off to find the other moon of moon of Kerbin. That's the word I was looking for. So the first thing we need to do is get out to an orbital distance. So this is at times 4 speed. Actually, I think it's times 8 speed because I'm using time acceleration. And I went too far. Yeah, I wasn't actually looking at the screen when I did that. So this is not going to be a standard method of reaching Minmus. This is going to be the wrong way to do it, but it's fine, we've got tons of fuel. So I'm actually out quite a long way. This is actually quite a long way to change your orientation, but I think I should still get away with it because again I have so much fuel I could just fly in a straight line, to be honest. But we shall do this, and we're just in orientation and we have capture. So now I am trying to tweak it so that we are as close to the surface of Minmus as possible. This is it's a good practice to do this from as far away as possible, because the further you are away, the less fuel it would take to do small angle corrections. Just distance correction. Yeah, small angle equals a big distance. So this is what we got out of all of that. We are about 700,000 kilometers, 700 meters away from the surface. So the next thing to do before we can make any other corrections, of course, is to bring ourselves into orbit. So the gravity is less on Minmus, but it still seems to be, it should still be good enough in order to actually get an orbit. So we just take it to here and then turn around and kind of decelerate, I guess, so that until we fall into its gravitational well. Should be, just see all of it changing. You see it curving right round. You can see the time to the escape extending, and eventually it should become infinite. Bang. Well, actually, then it becomes the time for the periapis, but that's just because of the current looking at things. But yeah, the time for escape becomes infinite. So now I'm just going to try and bring down my periapis so that it's less than at least 30,000. This means that I'm just skimming across the surface. That makes landing easier, basically. That's the reason for it. So that's less than 30, so 22. The lower you can get it, the easier it is to land, basically. Because, you know, less fuel. It's probably the... I can never really decide whether it's more or less efficient to use your big ship, because your big ship has the best rockets and the most fuel, but it also is the most weight, so in most occasions it's probably more efficient to use your lander if you're close enough, but a lot of the time it isn't. I don't know. I use the big rocket, so I use the main ship just because that's how I do it. So we have our lander and we have our landing site. Decided obviously to land on the light side so I can actually see. I'm just turning the engines on for the lander, and we shall get out of here. So I want to bring my orbital speed down to, well, as close to 0 as possible, so that I remove, and overshot, so that I remove my lateral speed. So I've overshot, so I'm actually coming down with a small amount of lateral speed, but it should be okay, because I'm quite high up still, so that should be okay. And there's plenty of time for adjust, so that there is plenty of time to adjust for that on the way down. We're just coming down, and we can just give it a little bit of a kick here. Just bring it down, just slowing it down. But it's less about the height and more about trying to bring the spot and keep overshooting these things. So it's gone too far the other way now. It's more, it's less about slowing my descent speed and more about removing any lateral speed. So I'm going to try one last time, just to ease this down very, very, very carefully even. And that brings it down. Oh, very close. That should be much better. That should allow us to land kind of straight down. Should be pretty good. So now we need to get down. So we shall use some super time acceleration. This is times 4, times 8, times 6, 12. Should bring us down in no time. You see our shadow? Shadows are much more reliable than surface data, especially on other. So Minmus is pretty. I wouldn't say actually that. It still has a 0 basically. If you try and land on mountains, it will tell you that it's still miles away from the surface when it's not, because the mountain is not at sea level. We're just coming down, just slowing it down. Less than 5. These legs will break if you go above a certain speed, but less than 5 they should be more than fine. 2. Look at that. And perfect. We used like, what, a fifth, maybe a quarter of our fuel landing. It's pretty good. Nothing broken, all looks good. Successful landing. Rarer than you would anticipate. So now we can get out and have a little look around, because we haven't been to Minmus before. The texturing is functional, I guess, at this point. It hasn't had the renovations that Mum has had, so it's just a blob. But it is a blob with very little gravity, which is quite fun. So if we get out and go for a little run, because he actually like properly moonwalks, like floats in the air for a second. She seems to be enjoying quite a lot. The other question is, if that's how low the gravity is, I wonder how high I could jump. Is the other question. So we shall try and see. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's like 10 and a bit meters. That is pretty. That's like probably almost the size of a house. The floor, their room's got to be like 3 meters, so it's pretty high up. Of course, the next question is, how high can he go with the jetpack? Well, there is an answer to that question, but I shall have to leave that for another footage, because we have other things. We have a job to do here, and more importantly, we need to post for a screenshot, because that's the important thing. So apparently, some of the first NASA things, when they were first setting up the first men into orbit, they had problems with some of the astronauts spending too long taking pictures out of the windows. Taking pictures, you're in space. I take pictures. So, it's time to pose a screenshot with a galaxy behind. It's pretty awesome. And then it's time to go home. Well, back to the spaceship. So we've learnt that our lander is definitely capable of landing, which is pretty cool. And he obviously has enough power and everything to land on the Mun, or sorry, on Minmus. But we also know that the gravity of Minmus isn't very good, so don't know if he'll be able to take off. Well, he'll be able to take off on all of the moons then, more than likely. The question is whether or not he can take off on any of the other planets. I don't know what the gravity is like there because we haven't been to them, so we shall have to try that. So I haven't done the most efficient takeoff here. I've just literally gone straight up. If the gravity this low, I probably could have gone straight into an orbital inclination, but I didn't actually know what angle it was, and here you can see me trying to guess what angle I actually came in at. I came in Minmus at a very dodgy angle, so I'm trying to guess what angle I should be, basically. So kind of somewhere around there-ish, basically. And there we go, we go into an orbit, and then what I'll have to do is correct for that orbit and bring it out to something slightly more useful to redock, which I have done so here. And then you kind of just, standard docking procedure if you don't know how to dock. I do actually have a video on it somewhere. But then we can try and dock our lander back where it is. Ah, we're still miles away. We just need to bring him down into ×4 acceleration. Back towards the main ship, the mothership. There he is, or she is. She? What do you think, male or female? Never really understood that. Like, why some things are different sexes. I don't know. Right. We can fly towards it. At a blistering speed of 2.5 meters per second. Going. And of course, it's facing the wrong way, so I'm going to have to go round and come back from behind. Yeah. I know what I mean. It's fine. So he has currently been in space. This entire kind of getting out here and docking and coming back. What's that taken? That's seconds, minutes, hours, days. So it took 2 days. Wow, really? Oh, that includes docking and things like that, doesn't it? That tells you how long it took to build this damn thing. And this would be why. Issues with docking. When I made this, I made everything with ×3 symmetry. And for some reason it never occurred to me that trying to dock something with only 3 thrusters rather than 4 would be a pain in the ass. Because I don't really have true X and Y control now, do I? I just have a kind of an approximation to it. But luckily, we are saved by the grav magnets. Or the magnets of the docking magnets things. Yeah, done. So we can actually dock that way, it's fine. So, there are corrections to be made to these things. For one thing, I need to refuel. But also, that was the main lander. I still had the other lander, of which I knew as soon as I docked it that that wasn't going to be good enough. I should really have just brought it straight back down again, but it didn't actually have any parachutes to bring it back down again, so that's going to be fun. So that's another thing we need really is parachutes, because it'd be much easier to land on somewhere which has atmosphere with parachutes. If you just open the parachutes, you don't have to worry about using fuel and all of that stuff. So I'm going to make some... got captured with Minmus again. We don't want to go back to Minmus. I'm sorry, Minmus. We have been and seen, and you weren't that interesting. So we're just going to bring it in and get reasonably close to Kerbal. We don't want it all the way, and I accidentally get a Mun capture. So we might as well, if it's offering, go and see Mun. We might as well and see how the two compare. And every opportunity to see Mun is always worth it. Just the text detail that they've gone into now is just, well, it's not even texture, it's actual physical deformation of the land. So it's amazing. And a big reveal. There she is. Just look at it. Massive craters and really good. If they do that for the rest of them, it's going to be amazing. So we are at a slight angle as usual, but then we were always going to be because Minmus is at a dodgy angle. So we were never going to come in at the right angle. But we are well within the gravity well. So if we get to Periapis, here you go, and then we can reduce our orbit and bring ourselves in for an attempt at landing, which is pretty cool. So just bring it down. Lots of ×4 acceleration. There we go. So that's capture, but that's not a very good orbit for landing. So I did some tweaking, and I am now in a pretty circular orbit. I think I'm 1,000 off. Yep. And I am skimming the surface. This, to be honest, is about as close as I'd ever want to get to the Mun. Those lovely, nice deformations at the land mean that there are mountains now that go up to like 4,000 feet, 4,000 meters. So you want to be a bit careful about flying close to one of those, because it may say that you're, say, 2,000 meters above the surface, but when a mountain comes around and swipes you out of the air, well, the sky, I guess, then yeah, you'll know about it. So I've picked a spot to land in between all of these now craters on the light side, so you can see what I'm actually going to aim for is in between those three that make a kind of triangle, which is a nice flat area, which hopefully doesn't have any... Oh no, I don't have... Yeah, doesn't have any boulders to land on. So we're just doing the same thing again, and I'm just slowing it down, and I want to drop straight out of the air, basically. This is just my preferred method of landing. straight down. Then we go down, and there we go. We are 13,000 feet. We need to come down a bit lower. There we go. Just waiting for the cut there. So you can see here, I'm actually going to land at like 3.3. Oh, maybe not. Maybe 3.4. So this section of the Mun is actually quite elevated above sea level, and I had a little spring in my step there. We landed, and the RCS helped there. It kind of acted as a spring to stop me from rolling away. Sweet. Cool. Right, now we can get out and have a look around. It's pretty cool. I think everything's everything's still good. We kind of landed exactly where we wanted to, but the inclination isn't ideal. We don't really have a way of checking for these things though. It'd be pretty cool if we had like a real topological map. And we can fly. The moons are so much more fun with these low gravities. And you can actually see his shadow as well, which is pretty awesome. He is very happy. Today you landed on 2 moons, which is pretty awesome, let's be honest. His face. Doing a little bit of moonwalk. And then, this is the fun one. Is that 2 rotations? 2.5 rotations. And it's almost always 2.5 rotations. These Kerbins are very consistent with their jumps. See? 2.5 rotations. I can never do it backwards though, as in, I can never do it when I'm walking away from the camera. I don't know why, it just never works. That is a very happy man. Right, we shall plant a flag, because we didn't do that last time. And I feel that there needs to be a flag ceremony in every episode. So we shall plant a flag, and we shall call it Flaggy. Sweet. Flaggy the flag has been planted on the Mun. We should really have done one on Minmus, I think. Pretty. We shall go out, and we shall venture forth, and we shall plant many flags. Flags, flags, flags. Screenshot. Got the. Is it the Milky Way? Would you call it the Milky Way? It's Kerbin in the Milky Way. I don't know. Anyway, let us go. We have come and we have seen, and we shall leave. And then what we can do this properly last time we didn't, so we can do it properly this time and just take straight off and rotate straight into an orbital. And then kind of hot guess-ish. There you go. It's a pretty good guess actually. The inclination angle, and then just do, again, standard, make it up to an orbit. And then have the fun of redocking. I'm not going to lie, this was not easy at all. There we go, and we can set it, and then we can try and dock. So that gets me pretty damn close. And then, I mean, getting near it isn't the issue, it's actually aligning everything perfectly. So this took me some time, as you will probably be able to tell from the mission time. So there you go, that took me 15, and then let's flip back. I'm actually cheating, I'm using the main rocket here, kind of, because the thrusters on that are much more reliable, as in they have better XY control. And I am saved by the magnets. Those magnets, whoever installed the magnets on the docking port, you are geniuses. Geniuses! So, we are docked. Now, so we've been to visit both moons, and we have come with the conclusion that we need better XY control. So we can install that, that's fairly simple. Oh, change them over. One of our landers is completely useless, so we're going to have to get rid of him. One other thing which would be really useful actually is if these landers were automated, so that we could send one down as a rescue mission without actually risking more Kerbins. So I think it would be a good idea to have probes, probe units installed on all of these guys. So we shall do that, and also with that thought also in mind, it would be a good idea if they had secondary crew compartments, you know, empty ones that people could be in. So I think we shall upgrade them to these new additions in the next episode. Anyway, my name's been Veio, thank you for watching, and I shall see you guys next time.